But thank you. It's very nice to meet you. And I must say, your name, jumps at me because all like the majority of my life, I've been like my nickname is Nina Saraphina. So
Really?
so when I see Saraphina, I'm like, wait, I have to like turn that off. I have emails with Nina Saraphina. I have like a lot of my usernames are Nina Saraphina. Like, I
Oh
don't know.
my
If
gosh.
somebody wanted to hack my account for something, they could figure that out very easily with Nina Serafina.
Have you watched the film Seraphina?
I have not. I haven't, but now I'm going to write that down and watch Serafina.
It's a
I've
solid
been to
film.
I have been to the Italian restaurant Serafina that's in New York. I think it's in
Ah,
other places too, but New York is the only place that I know of. But great. Well, it's great to have you and thank you for joining these interviews that we're hosting. Um First of all, have you been to Miami Web Fest before? Have you and any of your team? Is this your first time at the festival or submitting to the festival?
so yeah, this is our first time submitting. We
Nice.
really we really wanted to come as well when we got in, but financials didn't allow us to
It's
get
so
overseas.
hard.
But
No,
yeah,
we're very grateful for that and the interest in joining. It is our ninth year, so and then some. So we definitely look forward to receiving more submissions from you guys down the road in your projects. So let's get started. So just tell me a little bit about who you are and your relation to the project and just the beginnings of your beginnings and the beginnings of the project itself.
oh, okay, yeah. So I'm Saraphina. I'm a writer director. I wrote and directed Talia Versus, the series, and the pilot. I co-directed the pilot with another director, Israel Peters. And yeah, it just came about as I really wanted to tell this story about my dating life and how terrible it was. Um, so I was just like, all right, I'm gonna start writing like these little 5-minute episodes so people can get like a feel for it. Um, and then I just called up Israel. I said, can you get me kit? Because he works in ad and he was able to get like a bunch of camera kit. And we shot it over a day in my aunt's house. Oh,
Wow.
the first episode in a day in my aunt's house, and the others we rented a place. But
So convenient. And
yeah,
when did you start production? Was this during COVID? Because it's like of all the production, when did you start filming it and start putting, I mean, you wrote it, but like at what point of the process were you in?
so I wrote it, and then we sort of had a tinkering that a second lockdown was coming. So it
Mm,
was like, all right, let's shoot it like next week, basically. So we had, or 3 weeks. So we had 3 weeks to prep everything, casting, rehearsals, getting into the space, getting the kit ready. From the point that I wrote it to actually shooting was 3 weeks. And then the day after the shoot, we went into a second lockdown. So
wow.
it's a good thing we got it done when we did.
Yeah, great timing. And so how did you begin in your journey? Where did your journey start in the writing and this whole industry and your love of film and creating? Where did this all stem from, your beginnings?
So I think I've always loved films. I grew up with my grandma and she was a massive film person. I remember watching like Scarface with her at like 9 years old and like
Wow. That's my
and,
grandma. Movie is your grandma's there. That's hilarious. She's
and she
dope. I
loved
want to meet her now.
and she loved Imitation of Life.
Mhm.
So I remember just having this like varied view of films and like like Hollywood, and I was just like, oh, I want to make that one day. So when I got to university, I studied film. It was difficult. I had a daughter at the same time, so I was like juggling studying with having a newborn baby, and then afterwards I started to like freelance do videography. Uh,
Mhm.
and I was filming mainly like music events and stuff like that. And then I was just writing on the side until I was able to direct and write my own projects.
Nice, nice. So you dabbed a little bit on, what the project is about, and can you tell a little bit more about, the creative process and like just what was your favorite part of the production, putting it together for you?
Ooh, I would say Uh, the rehearsals was my favorite part because I had never heard my work like read aloud in real life. So I think
Wow.
it was just so exciting to hear these actors, and they were good reading my stuff, and I just got so excited, and I was just so gassed for the shoot that was coming up. So that was probably my most enjoyable part. Um, and I love the shoot as well. I love that, like, the rush of it, and getting it done in a day and sort of banding together with all these people. um Two of my sisters were in it. One of my sisters was creative director, so it was like
Nice. Keep it in the family.
yeah.
That's awesome. And how did that feel? I mean, how were there areas in your life where like, oh no, that's too personal. I don't want to put, that I don't want to imitate that in my life, or oh, I don't want to touch that. Like, how comfortable were you just kind of like, hey, this is my dating life and I'm just gonna lay it out there. I'm not saying it's people know it's
Yeah.
yours per se, but obviously, your friends and they know who you are. Like how comfortable with you sharing, expressing those intimate kind of things in an art form for you?
um I think I was quite comfortable. I was really comfortable saying it. But Talia Versus wedding, the person whose wedding I was at has reached out and said, sort of, don't tell anyone it was my wedding. so so I thought I disguised it, but clearly not. Um, the guy I spoke about, a guy who took me to, he said he was taking me on a date, and then we ended up in a hospital waiting room. And
Wow.
he also Facebook messaged me. So it's not other people being uncomfortable more than me. I
Gotcha.
don't.
That makes sense. It reminds me of the film The Best Man, that old film when they were writing the book, but it was about a book they were writing about everyone's stories, and but that was
Yeah.
like real life. I can see how other people will feel because you're the writer. I mean, I can only imagine it's probably therapeutic. I can only imagine it's therapeutic to kind of get that out, get your voice out, and get your experiences out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't realize they'd be watching as well. I never thought about them watching it. So
Yeah. That's great. You're definitely being seen and it's getting out there and everyone gets a chance to relate and because everyone has a relatable story as well. So that's great to find that audience for you. So what challenges did you face in the production process of Talia and just dealing with I know you said that the COVID hit or the lockdown hit, right after that shoot. So outside of that, what other challenges did you face during the production process?
um I think my biggest challenge was probably the edit.
Hmm.
Um, and it's because I had never edited my own work before. I've always edited other people's. And I didn't know how to separate it from the page to the film that it was that we shot. So I
Wow.
was trying to edit the film to the script exactly, and it was not working. I was just like, oh, this is
Wow.
terrible. Why did I do this? And then my friend Sebastian, he was sitting on opposite me in the desk, and he came around and he said, just do what works. And it was so simple. I just didn't think of it, but I done what worked.
Overthink.
Yeah.
Especially if it's your own work and I'm sure you want it to be exactly to the T. So what advice would you give to filmmakers like yourself that kind of do it all, the editing, the writing and this, like what type of advice would you kind of give those people that are coming up or just trying to juggle the same thing?
I would say a second pair of eyes that knows you is a good person to have around, because if they know you, then they get your vision, they get your voice, and you always need a second pair of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
um, if you can't have someone that knows you, then just always get a second pair of eyes on it, just to see that everything's making sense, because there were definitely a few choices that I made that if I had asked, I would have known not to make, but I didn't. And I didn't.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. That's like a great, it's a learning experience. That you the best learning experience is hands-on and you wouldn't have never known had you actually did it and put yourself out there to try to do it yourself. So that's a great learning curve. And so outside of advice and outside of this project, what other projects do you have in store, and what's the future of Saraphina and your wonderful artwork and art imitating life?
So I've got a few projects that I'm excited about in development. Um, Trying to get some pilots out. So next year, hopefully, you'd see some more work. I don't think I can talk too much on it, but there
Totally
should
understand.
be, half an hour pieces come into television, and hopefully they make it across seas as well.
Nice. And so what other festivals have you been involved in, or is this like, what's your experience in the festival world of submissions for you?
Um, so the first festival I went to was ABFF,
Okay.
and that
Oh,
was
in Miami, right? In
yeah.
Miami.
If someone
Awesome.
sends me a ticket, I'll fly back. But yeah, I went to ABFF and I just fell in love with Miami. Like if you ask my sisters, I came back and I was just talking about it every day. I still talk about it all the time. Uh, and it was just the frankness of the people around.
Mm,
Um, I found up until that point, I had made a lot of excuses. And when I got there and was actually talking to people, it was like, there's no excuse. You either do it or you don't, and you find a way or you don't. Obviously, that's not the case for everyone.
mhm,
But I think it was just so eye-opening to see, especially so many like people of color
mm,
uh, in
right.
one space, which you don't get in England. So yeah, it was just empowering, and I just took that with me. And we plan to come back in 2020. COVID hit, so
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, just, black on film and black creators, like, it's like there's a renaissance finally going on right now, through a long amount of years right now. So what else do you feel like, what has been your inspiration in general of just creating and putting these projects together? What drives you, and what's your inspiration behind all of this?
um, Everything is like the black women around me. That's it. There's not really everything else is fine, but like the black women around me are like the most important thing in my life. They're like
Hmm.
so incredible people, incredible humans, and I just feel like they need more time on screen because we don't have all that much time on screen,
Mhm.
especially like in Europe and whatnot. So I just feel like yeah, that's why I do it. I just want to see black women on screen. That's it. I just want to watch it, so I have to do it because
No, that and that's valid, and everybody wants to see themselves on screen, and really imitate, see that they can relate, all the way from as a little child. Do you want to have inspiration for that? So are there any particular filmmakers or creators that are your kind of also your inspirations, or that you kind of follow suit or try to kind of not imitate, no one wants to imitate, but that kind of you aspire to kind of follow in footsteps?
yeah, absolutely. I love Issa Rae, love Issa Rae, and Michaela Cole. Those are two of like my absolute favorites. And I love what Jordan Peele's doing right now.
Hmm.
Um, and I've always been a huge Spike Lee fan. So those would be like my faves.
That's it. Like, oh, no, those are some big. Those are some big players, and I know Issa Rae definitely has made a footprint in the web series genre, and so it has paved more waves, the path for great creatives like yourself, and we look forward to seeing more of that. Not only just at our festivals, but on the big screen and around the world. So, but yeah, well, it was definitely a pleasure speaking with you, Saraphina, and meeting you, Nina, Saraphina, and
Yeah.
Saraphina together. it would have been great to meet you in person, but travel, it is what it is, and COVID is
Yeah.
still here. It's still
Yeah.
here. It hasn't gone anywhere. So, and now monkeypox. So,
Oh.
so yeah, so it's so good to kind of keep that distance, but it's great that we can connect and definitely share these interviews with other filmmakers and creatives that will attend the event as well. So thank you so much, and I wish you best in the future, and I look forward to seeing you at major award shows for sure.
Thanks so much. It was so nice to meet you.
Likewise, you have a great rest of your evening at night.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.